Welcome to the annual UPDES training. My name is Dawn Barbie. I'm in the Public Utilities Department. Let's get started. So just a brief history about water quality. That by the late 1960s, waterways had become so heavily polluted something had to be done. The Cuyahoga River in Ohio caught fire for the 13th time on June 22, 1969. The river was so heavily polluted from industrial waste that lined the banks of the river, things like oil and grease, paint, pretty much anything that anyone didn't want ended up in the river. And this caused a massive fire that was set off by sparks from a nearby train. So the Clean Water Act of 1972 addressed water pollution, and the Water Quality Act in 1987 was how we're going to keep our waterways clean. So Utah, the state of Utah, actually has a permit issued by the federal government to address how we're going to keep pollution out of our waterways. The state of Utah owns and rules and regulates all waterways in Utah. So Sandy City actually has a permit issued by the state that allows us to discharge our stormwater into local waterways. And of course, we want to be good stewards. So then what is stormwater? Stormwater is rain, sleet, hail, and snow. So stormwater is not treated. It's commonly thought that when water goes into the storm drain system, it's treated before it hits a water body. And that's actually not true. It's confusing because there are some places in the nation where they do treat their stormwater, but Sandy City in the state of Utah does not. So then where does it go? So you can see on the left, you've got water going over sidewalks, gutters, and streets, and it goes into that gutter and directly to the picture on the right is the Jordan River. So there's absolutely no treatment, so anything on those hard surfaces goes directly into the water. Stormwater is one of the biggest sources of water pollution in our waterways. So what's in the water? Again, anything that's on those hard surfaces. You've got lawn maintenance, pet waste, paints, landscaping materials, hazardous products. Again, anything that's on those hard surfaces gets swept up and put downriver. If you were to take a scoop from a polluted waterway, these are the things you're going to find in the water. And then, if you wanted to go swimming, again, if it's an impacted water body, you're going to be swimming in anything that's in that water. So illicit discharge detection and elimination, or IDDE, is a concept of how do we prevent things from entering into the storm drain system. This is an example of an accident that we had here in Sandy, where this semi-truck filled with beer and another passenger vehicle collided, and unfortunately this truck went over into this parking lot and all of that beer was heading down into the storm drain. So the fire department did exactly what they should have done. They put down this absorbent, and you can see on the bottom left, that storm drain, that they were able to keep any more of that substance going down into the storm drain. This is an example of a gentleman who actually works at the health department, was going for a walk in his neighborhood, and came across a contractor washing out his cement truck in the gutter. You can see from the color on the strip and the sample that the acidity was really, really high. And again, we don't want that going into our waterway. This was called in by one of our public works employees. This dirt pile is problematic because it is blocking the gutter, as you can see, so that can cause flooding as well as water quality. Dirt is a natural organic substance, but it does directly negatively impact water quality. This is mud tracking, Again, it's problematic because it will clog up storm drain systems as well as could cause damage from flying debris, and we want to make sure we keep our city clean. One of our firefighters, as well as one of our public utilities employees, saw this salt pile behind one of the local stores. We use salt, obviously, for public safety, but we want to minimize excessive amounts, and we want to make sure that high concentrations don't go directly into a storm drain. The issue is there's nothing around this salt pile to keep it in the pile, and as you can see, in this area there's a storm drain, and it was discovered during a rain event, and they said it was actually like a little salt river going into that storm drain. So this example happened down on 7th West. A semi-truck and trailer began leaking diesel fuel and oil, and they drove for probably about 100 feet before they realized there was some sort of a problem. The trailer was left behind and the driver took off. And so the health department had to get involved because this did reach a storm drain, and it's going to turn into a violation. And the health department is currently working on that investigation. So this is an example of what not to do, period. So this is a local construction company that had 2 female employees that were both pregnant, and they decided to do a gender reveal at this location. They separately got 2 buckets of 5-gallon latex paint with obviously the gender color inside, and they basically broke them open by squishing it with an excavator, and it caused that paint to fly everywhere. So you can see in the left picture there's a board. They put down a board and a piece of carpet to try to keep it out of that, and that's actually a sump. A sump is essentially just a hole in the ground, and everything would have been fine except that they took the excavator to the top of this driveway, which actually has a big slope on it, and began power washing the excavator. Well, obviously picking up the paint along with the water, and then, as you can see on the right, completely polluted the water in that area. So I got the health department involved because the health department is our enforcement arm, and they will receive a letter of warning. They also had to fill that area up with sand and then scoop it out with that same excavator and dispose of it properly. So again, power washing can be very problematic. And the other issue in this area is that it's also high water tables. So again, big source of pollution. So this is another example of power washing and how it can be problematic. In this picture, at the very top, you'll see there's an area and a couple of dumpsters. This area would house the dumpsters, and the apartment complex hired 2 gentlemen to come and clean it out. So they pulled the dumpsters out, sprayed a product called Simply Green or something along those lines, thinking it was a biodegradable product, so it would be okay. So what they did is they sprayed that everywhere and then power washed the area that, again, housed the dumpsters. And the end result is, think of everything that would leak out of a dumpster is now power washed into the area you can see here. And as it dried, it left behind all of that, I call it dumpster goo. That's a problem. And there was a storm drain just, I think, 5 to 10 feet away, and this company ended up having to call an environmental cleanup company to clean out 2 boxes and 400 feet of pipe. So it was a very expensive lesson learned. So we partner with Salt Lake County Health Department, and we do this for several reasons. They're our partner because they're our enforcement arm. So if we have an issue, they're the ones that can actually press charges and levy fines. Another reason we partner with them is they're keeping track county-wide of what's happening. So if you've got someone doing illicit discharge in another city and then they come to Sandy City and do that same discharge, then they can escalate penalties and fines for that company. So then we're asked, what can we do to protect waterways as a city? So how we protect our waterways is through BMPs, or best management practices. If we keep everything clean as much as possible, then it's less likely that pollutants will make their way into water bodies. So the top left is a street sweeper. This actually serves two functions. First, it keeps the city clean, and the second is it keeps debris out of the storm drain system. On the top right is our Vector truck. It cleans out storm drain boxes so that it's clear of debris and, again, avoids flooding. On the bottom right is spills do happen. As long as they are addressed properly, cleaned up, and disposed of properly, again, it keeps those things out of the storm drain system. And finally, the bottom left shows exactly how important it is that we keep debris out of our storm drain systems. Typically, you'll find these, the storm drain nearest to construction sites, as a last resort to, again, ensure that debris does not make its way into the storm drain system. LID, or low impact development, is the concept of driving stormwater back into the ground. We all know the water cycle. It rains, it goes into the ground and water bodies, evaporates, and the cycle continues. Over the last several decades, we've put so much impervious surfaces down, like roads, streets, parking lots, and homes, that the water cannot actually penetrate back into the ground. LID is creating places for the stormwater to go and, again, drive back into the ground, keeping the water cycle continuing. So this is an example of when we have so many impervious surfaces, we have to direct the water somewhere. So this is the park at Quarry Bend, and parks serve several functions in our communities, and the first is for storm water. So all this water from all these surrounding areas are driven into this area so that it prevents flooding and will slowly release the water into the storm drain system, but it won't overpower the system. It's a slow release. This is another example. This is an apartment complex where they're trying to hold their water on site. So the water will come off the streets and the sidewalks, and it's driven into this area. And you'll see there's rocks, so that essentially the water will go through the rocks and do some sort of a cleaning process and drive the water back into the ground. So really, low impact development is all about capturing water and driving it back into the ground. So then people ask, what can we do at home? Car washes are a great option. These are professional businesses that recycle and dispose of their chemicals and water appropriately. If you want to wash your car at home, that's fine. Just do it on the lawn. We don't want anything that's coming off of your car going, again, into the gutter. And then people ask, well, what about biodegradable soaps? These products are problematic because they could possibly biodegrade, but not before they negatively impact wildlife and water quality. Pet waste, again, is a major pollutant found in our waterways. So by cleaning up after our pets, we keep these harmful bacteria out of our water. Leaves and dirt, again, they're organic, but they can lead to clogging up systems and could cause a problem with flooding. And power washing, very effective. We just don't want whatever it is you're cleaning to go down the storm drain. As long as you catch the water by diverting it into the grass or collect it with a shop vac, again, it's a great way to clean. I'd like to thank you very much for your time today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Here's my information. Again, make sure that you take the quiz. We use that as our documentation to show we have educated our employees. Thanks again, and have a great day.